Island is a complete animal care facility that provide our tigers with the care they need to live a long and healthy life. The primary purpose of Tiger Island is to raise awareness of the real threat of extinction of tigers in the wild. Through education and fundraising, we can make a positive change to their future. The Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation is the world's largest contributor of money to the globally recognised 21st century tiger, an organisation dedicated to giving wild tigers a future. Thank you for being here and helping us save tigers.
Alright folks, how about a big round of applause for our amazing tiger stars and of course our handlers as they make their way out to the island. Now leading today's presentation we have Ryan, who will be introducing everyone in just a moment. But first, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Tiger Island. We are so glad that you could join us here today to witness some amazing natural tiger abilities and hopefully learn a thing or two about what could be the most important conservation message facing the world today. Now, my name is Wildlife Al, and they call me that here at Dreamworld because, well, I love animals. Now, who else here loves animals? Let's see a show of hands. Who loves animals? All right, that is good to see because the animal kingdom needs people just like you who are going to look after them and ensure that they survive, especially these beautiful creatures right here. But now I think it's time to get started, so over to you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks Wildlife Al. And again guys, welcome down to Tiger Island. As you can see, we've got a couple of our beautiful cats out here. Now hopefully this afternoon we're going to demonstrate some natural behaviours that you will see from tigers out there in the wild. And I do say hopefully, because we will simply only ask and encourage the tigers to be involved and then reward them with their favourite food. Now, you'll notice on the sides of the handlers, they've got some big metal pouches. Inside these pouches is full of delicious treats and rewards. Today on offer, we've got some frozen milk from the carton, and the tiger's favourite raw meat. Alright, so to introduce the stars of the show, and I'm going to start on the right of the island. Currently, the heaviest cat in our collection, we have got Jarvie. Now, Jarvie is a 3-year-old male tiger. He was actually born right here at Dreamworld. He celebrated his 3rd birthday with his brother over there only a couple of weekends ago. Now, he's weighing in at a whopping 165 kilograms. So he is one big tiger. And he's going to be working with Daniel this afternoon. Now, to the left of the island, we've got Jarvie's brother, Zakari, exactly the same age. He's a little bit lighter though, he's only about 155 kilos. And this afternoon, he's going to be working with Mel. Now, guys, we have learned over the years, your reaction and response, it's also a really great reward for the tigers. So, if you do see something that you enjoy, make sure you let the cats know. Lots of clapping, shouting, cheering, screaming, whatever you want to do. So, on that note, how about we start with a nice big round of applause for the 2 stars of the show. That's what we want to hear. Alright, so that frozen milk's going to go back into the pouch. We're going to move to the first series of behaviours where we're just using milk as the reward. Now, this first one, it's real simple. We call it a sit-up and it looks like this. How about a round of applause, guys, to get started? Now, apart from looking cute, which it is, this is a natural behaviour that tigers will do out there in the wild, generally to get a bit of a height advantage. So, looking over tall, long grass, but also to access scent markings. See, tigers, they are solitary animals. Out there in the wild, when they come across another tiger, it can be quite confrontational and possibly aggressive. Now, the best way to avoid this confrontation is to investigate scent markings as they're patrolling through their territories. So scent markings, they're sprayed in an upwards direction on rocks, trees, logs, overhanging branches, and in that position, they can quite literally just sit there, investigate that scent. They can determine whether or not it was from a male tiger, a female tiger, and even if that female is ready for breeding. Now, sometimes tigers, they do need to stretch up just that little bit taller, which they're most capable of, and they do it by getting up in their back legs into what we call a rise. Now, this afternoon, we're going to demonstrate the traditional Tiger Island rise, and it's up on the handler's shoulders. It's pretty impressive to see, so I think Jarvie and Dan over there deserve a big round of applause. That's 160 kilos, and there goes Zakari as well. How about that? Now, out there in the wild, they're going to demonstrate this behaviour on the sides of trees. It's going to give them a great opportunity to get those out of reach scent markings, but also to rake their very powerful sharp claws down the trunk of that tree. Now, not only does this feel good, it's going to stretch out those tendons and those ligaments, but it's also going to help them lose that outer layer of claw to then expose those new sharp claws. Now, this will leave a visual indicator on the tree, but once again, scent glands in between the pads of their paw will leave a scent marking for other tigers to find. Now, you're probably looking at the handlers thinking, wow, they're pretty tough, holding up 160 kilos on their shoulder like it's nothing. As much as they want you to think that, it's not really the case in this situation. As you can see, the cats, they can hold their entire body weight up on their back legs into what we call a free stance or a fight stance position. Now, it's probably the hardest behaviour we ask the cats to do with just milk, so I think they deserve a bit of a clap, guys. Pretty impressive to see as well. Now, these two younger boys, they will show this behaviour out here on the island. Generally, it's when they're play fighting. But when two wild tigers get into the fight stance, they usually mean business. And just like these two, up onto their back legs, that's going to free up those powerful front paws, which will then enable them to strike and knock their opponent off balance to deliver a killing bite with their very large and impressive canine teeth, the killing tool of the tiger. Now with me, I just happen to have a plastic replica of one of these canine teeth. For an adult tiger, it is roughly 12 to 14 centimeters in length. Pretty impressive, right? Here in Tiger Island, we're lucky enough to show you the real deal. You'll notice the handlers are now presenting the cat's teeth simply with their hands and a bit of milk as the reward. Now, this is something the cats are super comfortable with. We do it from quite a young age. It's pretty important behaviour to be able to give them a quick mouth inspection. Now, if you guys have a keen eye, you'll probably notice you can only see half of this food. The root of that tooth is embedded deep into the tiger's skull, and ultimately that's what gives it their strength. Now the teeth located right at the back of the jaw, these are what we refer to as the Carnassial teeth, and they're the ones that are used like shears or scissors to slice off chunks of meat that are then swallowed whole. See, tigers, they don't chew or grind up their food like we do. You know, we've got that sideways movement of our jaw. Tigers, they can only move their jaw up and down in one motion, just like your dogs and your cats at home. And this movement, it does allow for a much greater bite force, which is roughly 6 times stronger than our own. Now guys, this does bring us to the end of the milk behaviours. I think these two deserve another clap, and I'll pass it back over to you, Al.
Thank you, Ryan. How good was that, folks, to start things off? All right, now let's take a little step back through time and look at the history of these beautiful animals. A century ago, in Southeast Asia, a series of tragic events started the decline of the wild tiger population. 100 years ago, there were more than 100,000 tigers roaming wild through Asia. Today, that number is less than 4,000, and sadly that number is still dropping. You see, as human populations grew, it displaced tigers from their natural habitat, which meant it was kind of inevitable that a human-tiger conflict was going to occur. Now, we will touch on that and more a bit later in the presentation and all the wonderful work we're doing right here at the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation. But for now, I think it's time to jump into the next series of behaviours.
Great choice of words as Akari launches across the 2 platforms. Now guys, believe it or not, that's a pretty simple jump for a tiger. It is only 3 metres from one platform to the next. They're actually capable of jumping distances of up to 6 metres. Now, out there in the wild, that's when they're going to be chasing down their prey, but we have measured jumps to that extent out here. And if you guys were wondering, the distance across the moat in front of you, it's 6 metres and 1 centimetre. So you're perfectly safe. You haven't had a tiger jump out for months now. Alright, watch Sikari on this next one. Watch his tail. It does a lot of the work. He's going to flick it forward and over his back, and that's just going to give him that extra bit of forward momentum, that extra bit of motion, just making that jump just that little bit easier. And it looks like he's going to be finished up there, so I think he deserves a bit of a clap. It was a pretty good effort on his behalf. But now it's the big fella's turn, Jarvie. And hopefully, he's going to make it look just as easy. And that's pretty much because he is 3 metres from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. So you'll notice when he eventually does these jumps, he goes and he's pretty much stepping over the 2 platforms. And when our tigers do the jumps as well, you'll notice they'll go right from the edge and they'll just make it to the next platform. Now, they really like to conserve their energy. Just like your cats at home, they can be quite lazy, and it's pretty important out there in the wild because they really don't know when that next meal is going to be. So it's pretty important to conserve that energy when they can. Now, in saying that, they can reach speeds of up to 60 kilometers an hour, and they can hit 0 to 60 in just under 3 seconds. So they are extremely capable right off the mark. And it looks like this next one is going to be Jarvy's last jump. So once he does it, I think he deserves a bit of a clap, guys. A little bit slow today, but that's all right. We got there in the end. He's a little bit cooler. All right, we're going to slow things down a bit now. We're going to move to our next method of training, and it's a bit more of a formal training technique the cats use, something that we refer to as mark training. So you'll notice the handlers just picking up these mark boards. Essentially, they're just square bits of wood. Those mark boards are then placed onto the ground and used as an indicator of position for the tigers. So the cats know if they go and walk up, place those 2 front paws on those boards, they will be rewarded for it. Now, it's quite a simple training method. The cats really enjoy it because it takes very little effort to receive that food. And for us as keepers, it's super useful when doing any health checks on the tigers. So things like taking blood samples, temperatures, yearly vaccinations. We can even do more complicated procedures like ultrasounds and x-rays on the cats whilst they're fully awake and alert. Now, you'll notice the tigers are also quite capable of moving from point A to point B with a simple hand cue or verbal command. This has helped us over the years when the tigers have been involved in various types of media work. So things like TV shows, commercials, feature films. It's one of the ways we raise extra money for tiger conservation to help those wild tigers. Now, wildlife owl, you mentioned it a bit before. Unfortunately, these beautiful animals, they are not doing so great out there in the wild. With less than 4,000 now remaining, they are considered an endangered species. And the 2 biggest threats that they currently face are habitat loss and poaching. Now, their body parts are still being used in traditional medicine. And whilst there's demand for these body parts, the tigers are going to continue to remain under threat. Now, through the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation and from donations from people such as yourselves, we're able to help organisations that go out there in the field to help educate people about tiger and human conflicts, but also that tiger body parts, they have no medicinal benefit. We're currently sponsoring some anti-poaching patrols over in Far Eastern Russia and Sumatra, and it's pretty devastating to see the illegal activity that still goes on to this day. But this is where your money is being spent, and it's great to see the amazing work the rangers are doing out there in the field. Now, this is work we're quite passionate about. If you guys do want to get involved today, there are a couple of ways you can. The easiest way, you'll notice there's a couple of donation boxes scattered around the front. If you've got any spare change, pop that money in there. 100% will go towards tigers in the wild. It doesn't go towards these tigers. Dreamworld already does a fantastic job of that. If not, you can jump on the website. You can help from an online donation or through the Adopt a Tiger program, where again, all of those fees will go towards tigers out there in the wild. Now, this is a bit of a mouthful, and it is the more serious side of what we actually do here at Tiger Island. However, you guys came this afternoon to see some pretty spectacular behaviours, right? And you have been a little bit quiet. So, I would like to hear, in your loudest voices, who out there wants to see a tiger climb this tree? That's what we want to hear. Alright, you guys are in luck today. Zakari is going to get the opportunity to head up our pole. So, get your cameras ready and focused on that climbing pole. Usually he doesn't muck around. Now, it was originally thought that tigers, they can't climb due to their size, their body weight. This is simply not true. They just need the right sort of motivation. And hopefully this afternoon, that motivation is a chicken drumstick on the end of that bamboo pole. Up he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the top. Guys, let's give Zakari a bit of a clap. Bit of a slow effort from him, but that's right. He got up there in the end. And this is what makes Zakari one of our best tree climbers. He has the sense of mind to shimmy all the way down to a nice, safe distance. A super safe distance this afternoon before he lets go. How about that? All right. He's not quite done yet. He's got another pretty unique behaviour he wants to show you. Little known fact, tigers, they actually love water, especially during the winter when it is a bit cooler. Hopefully we can encourage Zakari to get into the pool this afternoon for that bit of chicken that Mel has placed. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's sunk to the bottom. And the pool is pretty clear, but he might need a bit of a hand pointing it out. Sometimes he just likes to take his time and figure out the best way into the pool. Hopefully, Today he's going to go from the back because the front is a bit hard. It's a big glass panel there, Zakari. But Mel's going to hopefully point that one out, and once he sees it, it might be a bit more motivated to get into the pool. Now, our 3 younger tigers, they did actually learn this behaviour from their mother, simply just by watching them. But it looks like Zakari is going to take his time this afternoon. Maybe it's a little bit cold for him. I reckon we might swing our attention to the right of the pool. Hopefully we can get a bit more of a splash out of Ajavi, who Dan is hopefully going to get him into the pool, but it looks like Zakari, he's finally deciding he wants to get his paws wet. Believe it or not, that pool is actually heated, so what do you reckon, Zakari? We'll give him a small round of applause, guys. Hopefully we can get some jumps a bit later on, but I might pass it back on to you right now.
All right, folks, how about one more round of applause? How good was that? Woo! Now, folks, that does bring us to the end of today's presentation. We are so glad that you could join us here today at Tiger Island to witness these truly amazing natural tiger abilities. And hopefully you have learned a thing or two about this very important conservation message facing the world today. Now, on behalf of myself and the handlers, we want to say thank you for any donations and support of the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation. A little bit does go a long way, especially when it comes to saving tigers. Anyway, thank you for joining us here today at Tiger Island. Enjoy the rest of the day at Dreamworld.
Thanks, Wildlife Al. Guys, we're going to try for a couple more jumps now. Hopefully now that Jarvis are wet, he's a bit more inclined to get into the water. So feel free to come to the front, get a bit closer to the action. We just ask that you please walk around the railing, please don't step over.